Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures, where I'll be talking and reviewing action figures from different manufacturers. Today is going to be a bit of a special video, going to be a 3-in-1, even if one of the figures is the same one, but with the 2.0 version that Hasbro did. So we're going to be talking about Duke in the classified line, and we're going to be also talking about the retro Duke. Now, these two figures here do have numbers because they are number 4 in the series of G.I. Joe classified figures. Now, something very interesting is that you have two different paint jobs. So, of course, if we take the first one, you're going to see that there's a lot more gold, some red on his gloves, some red over here, gold stuff shining, some blue stuff going around. And as you can see, it gives a bit of a more futuristic look on the rifle. Then people were complaining about this, and then Hasbro decided, well, we're going to do a second one. And as you can see, the gun is not painted anymore, pistol doesn't change, binoculars don't change, backpack doesn't change, and some of the colors on the Duke do change. So this is number 4 in the series. This figure came out in 2020. As you can see with the low number, he was one of the first ones to hit after they released the 00 Snake Eyes. So this is the story of this guy. Now let's talk a bit history about these figures. Let's talk about value and what are my thoughts about these figures. So going into the history, here is our Duke from 1983 or 1984. The 83 version was released. You could get it as a mail order, and you would have an extra patch that would be the US flag. The regular figure didn't have it. So this is the one who came out in 1984. As you can see, always interesting figure. You had, of course, a machine gun, backpack, helmet that is missing on this one, and you have the famous binoculars that were redone with the modern version. Of course, I do not need to emphasize how great this one is. Now, I always liked Duke. I found him very interesting. Of course, this is not the Duke that I had as growing up as a kid. I had the one who was an action force, but he was also born in the US, so this one doesn't change much as the one I have. Figure looked great, really liked it when it came out, and of course you can't compete with the art box that you have, and they redid exactly something extremely similar with the retro line. As you can see, something that is also very funny is that he does get the laser rifle that you have in the cartoon, but over here has the same weapon as Stalker. So I don't know if they were not planning to do it, or were they planning to do it, and then last minute they decided to change of gun. It can be a very interesting take on this. Now, of course, these are my mint in box figures. So to go and do the review of this figure, I'm going to be using a different figure due to the fact that my Duke, the one that I opened, I really didn't like all this gold stuff, and I decided to repaint it. So normally if you would open this box, you would get, of course, Duke, you would get his backpack, you would get his pistol, and you would get his rifle. Of course, the binoculars are already on the belt and can be removed. So you can see this is pretty much what happens. Now, of course, like I said, I was working on him, didn't have time to go through it, but this is the Duke I decided to make. So I still have some paint job to do over here. I will move these horrible bits over here. They're not even straight, so I should remove them. Going to be repainting all of this. Already started by some green on here, doing the same principle as what they did on the second version. Now, of course, I had some extra gear, so I went for a more realistic gun over here. A harness, a little light, pocket light that you can have. It does come off, and of course a different rifle who's more real to the things. Of course, these accessories here are all from a company that sadly does not exist anymore, who are Wezaris Toys or Plan B Toys. So then we're going to also dive in, because we're doing the review, we're going to also get Duke out. So this is the ultimate Duke, I would call him, based on the fact that you get really a lot of stuff with it. I was very happy that Hasbro decided to say, hey, let's give some extra pair of hands, and we get the hands with the fist, and we get the hands who are holding the gun. So here we also get the Razor rifle, the XM1 if I'm not mistaken. Then of course they went for the same machine gun. This machine gun was already given with Stalker, so really looking great. Here's the binoculars, kind of a copy of what we used to have as with the original figure. Something that they added is a knife, and of course a pistol, and we do have the helmet, with something who is missing with the original Duke that was released in 2020. Now, I wanted to push. Now, I think it was very funny that they decided to go with this kind of visor. Now, the original figure doesn't have it. I tried to remove it. It seems a bit complicated without breaking it. I would prefer not to have it, because it makes sense. As you can see on the original box, you did have the holes on the side of the helmet, so I guess they wanted to put this kind of helmet with the original Duke. So if I really look at the figure itself, the original figure has some cool features. Nothing of extraordinary. There's no much patch, there's not much painting going on. You have a little paint of his jump wings, but mostly he is pretty basic and does not have much gear on him, or doesn't look anything special. Even if you gear him up like this, with putting the backpack on and giving him the rifle, I mean, he is pretty plain as a figure. So I guess that's why they wanted to course correct when they did the Duke over here. Now, I'll be going more into details about that when I'm going to be giving my final thoughts about it. But collectible wise, I think the Duke here, the retro line one, is one that you need to get, because he's really good. Now, the fact that these figures are not anymore Walmart exclusives like the other retro line, so you can get them from any retailer you want, there's high chances that these will come crushing down in prices and you will get them in clearance. Even the Walmart figures went in clearance. I think the only ones who didn't go into clearance was Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. But Storm Shadow, I'm not going to bet on it, I'm not sure. Of course, the two versions of the, the repaint version and the original version of these guys here, this one may be going for a bit of money, could be interesting, but the one who's more looked after by collectors is this version here. Due to the fact that the second one had a bit less ones than the first one. Of course, you have to remember this came out during the COVID period, so there was a lot of hassle trying to get these figures and trying to pick these guys up. So that's why I think that if you're looking for one, try to find this one. But this one does have some nice features due to the fact that he's a bit more colorful. If you can get both, good for you. Of course, these two figures are not sold anymore, so you will have a hard time, let's say, finding these guys. Now, of course, Duke here in the retro line came out in 2024. Does not have a number like all the retro figures have, but due to the fact that it's a retro, and I mean, they did a really good job making him. As you can see, they decided to go with a bit of a different head sculpt than the original Duke that they give in the classified line, who I don't mind. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, they did the US flag that should have been included with the Duke of 1984. He has a holster. The fact that he has a place for the knife also really makes it work. So I already put him one hand with the fist, and I'm going to be gearing him back up. So of course, it's easy to know which one is my favorite Duke out of all the ones they produce. It is, of course, the retro line Duke. Due to the fact that it's the one I grew up with, the fact that they really nailed perfectly the how can we say, the nostalgia effect on it, that it's for the box, that it's for the gun, that it's for everything. They really nailed it. I mean, this is, again, a 10 out of 10. I think it's one of my favorite retro figures. I'm not, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow are not bad, but I think this one really goes into something that having these extra hands, having this stand, I know it's nothing special, but all of this really puts this figure as a 10 out of 10. I mean, he is a perfect reproduction of the original figure. Now you can go, depending if you're more nostalgic about the figures and not really the cartoons, you can go for this kind of rifle and give him this, or if you're a cartoon fan, then go for the XM1 rifle. but for me, this is really the best one. So, as I said, this is going to be a 10 out of 10. This one here is going to be a 8 out of 10, and I would give this one a 9 out of 10. I know that it sounds peculiar to say, hey, why are you giving a bit better note for the second one? It's just because of the paint job, and I think that they did a way better job with the second one, making him look more military realistic than compared to the other one. So that's why for me, he is way superior. But go with this Duke here. For me, this guy here is perfection. You cannot go wrong with the Duke in the classified line, the retro line. He is just perfect. So that's going to be the review for my Dukes and which one was the best. I hope you like this kind of video, and if you do, please leave a like, share, comment in the section. If you have any suggestions, please let me know also. You can put that in the comments. If you agree with me, put that also in the comments. You want to see some pictures of these guys in action, you can go to my Facebook page, or you can go to my Instagram page to have it. The links are in the description. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!